This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Hi, this is Chris Onthe, Canine Master on Pet Life Radio. Today we're going to talk to John Davoren, and John is a farmer in the Burn on the west coast of Ireland, and he is an amazing trainer working with his dogs, his border collies, and watching how he manages these dogs and how they work with him is truly, truly an amazing sight to be seen. I'll be back to you soon on Canine Master and Pet Life Radio.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dinovite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dinovite.
Dinovite for life.
Pick up 2 tubes of Doggo Suds.
Get the 3rd tube free.
Peppermint, tea tree, lavender, Doggo Sud shampoo.
Made with all-natural coconut, jojoba, aloe. Great for healthy skin and soft, shiny coats.
But no itchy, harsh chemicals.
Lather up, rinse away.
Try Doggo Suds. Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dinovite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Hi, it's Chris Onthe, Canine Master. Today, I'm going to take you on the show. We are on the west coast of Ireland, and we're in, what county are we in, John?
We're in County Clare.
County Clare. County Clare, I'm here with John Davoren. He is a farmer, and he uses his border collies to herd and to navigate and to work his sheep. Welcome to have you on the show, John. How are you?
Thank you very much.
Gosh.
I'm glad to have you over, and I hope you enjoy your trip while you're in Ireland.
Oh, gosh, I've had the best time, and the Irish people are so friendly. You know, I wanted to ask you, John, I watched you working these dogs. How many dogs do you have altogether?
We have 10 dogs, well actually 8 dogs and 2 pups, and they're all border collies.
And they're all border collies. And are they all working, or do you have some?
They're all working. 3 of us work on the farm, so I take out the young dogs to do the demonstrations here every day for the tourism, and the other 2 guys are out on the farm, and they have the other 7 dogs gone with them.
Oh, that's great. You know, today we watched 4 of your dogs working, I think, it was 4. Yeah. And one of them was a little older, and then you had a younger one, right?
I had, yes.
And, you know, it's really interesting to watch you work these dogs. I mean, you're using both voice command and whistle. Can you tell me a little bit about what is the benefits of using a whistle and what's the benefit of using voice?
Well, the collie dog is the most clever dog. They're supposed to be the most clever dog in the world. So they can know your signals. The reason that we use both, we train the dogs originally with the voice. That's to get them to walk up, sit down, and go left or go right. That's done originally with the voice. But there are 2 reasons then we have to change them to the whistle. There are 3 of us work on the farm, and it's very difficult to get the dogs to work for more than one person by voice. But you see, if you blow the whistle properly, the dog won't know who's blowing it, so she'd walk away for anybody when she hears the proper whistle. The other thing is in our territory here, it's mountainy, and as you can see, it's very stony or rocky. So when you shout at your dog on the mountain, your voice is going to echo, and then it'll echo 3 times over. So when you move from one dog to the next, with the voice echoing 3 times, no dog will know what you're talking about.
Oh, interesting.
So that's the reason for both the voice and the whistle.
But does a whistle work better for long distances?
Oh, way better, way better. The dog will hear you to a mile out with the whistle. He won't hear you only a couple of 100 yards with your voice.
So using the whistle is probably the best way when you're in big expanses of property and things like this.
Of course it is. And the dog has 7 times the hearing of a man. So, and as well as that, he'll work better with the whistle because it delivers the message to his hearing much clearer and better. You know, accent will come in with your voice. The wind will break up your voice. But the whistle is back clear.
Right. And the reason why you use border collies, tell me, why border collies and not, I don't know, a different type of herding dogs?
The border collie is the most clever dog. He's hardy and he's light. Our dog, you've seen him walking today, they're all very small, much smaller than the normal dog you'll see, the normal collie. But here on the Burn, it's in the Burn County Clare you're in, it's very rocky and very stony. So if our dogs get more than about 18 kilos in weight, they're going to get sore feet. Their paws will get sore running up over the stone.
Yeah.
So that's the reason really for keeping the dog light, number one, female dogs only. And the collie dog is light bred anyway. He's light boned, he's light frame. He's a bit like
And using the female is the preferable thing for all people that do herding, or just in this area?
It's just in this area. Most people would prefer maybe a male dog because he moves slower and that, and he's easier to train. For us, we need a female dog because we have to cover a big distance.
Mm-hmm.
They're very quick on their feet for the big distance, and they'll stay lighter longer than the male. So we'll get an extra maybe 2 years out of them in the mountain compared to a male dog because he's getting heavy and his feet are getting sore. And then to go the big distance, he's too slow. If you send a male dog, like you said, out there to you, out a big distance, he'd stop to look at the scenery on the way out, whereas the female dog will just shoot on.
So the females tend to be more focused.
They are more focused, yeah.
They're not thinking about their sexuality as well, right? And
no, I suppose it's like us all. If you stay long enough sitting in the chair, somebody might bring you to dinner.
That's great.
It's a bit that way with the male dog, he's attentive. He can sit about.
So tell me a little bit about what's the difference between the ones that are nipping and the ones that you use that don't nip. So with sheep, you're not wanting them to nip, correct?
No. Yes, in our case now, the dogs will do both because we do dairy cows, suckling cows, beef cattle and sheep all in the one farm, all here on the farm.
Oh, you do?
We do. So we train our dogs to do the sheep and the cattle. Now for the sheep, she just has to creep like a predator and have the proper focus in the eyes. That's enough to move the sheep because the sheep have a fear of the predator. But for the cows or the cattle, you'll need your dog to nip because the cows won't move. They'll get used to the dog. They'll stand up in front of him if he doesn't nip now and then. But we cannot allow our dog to nip only when we tell him because when we're out in the mountains, you have the grikes in the stone, between the stone, the split between the stone. When the animal puts his foot down there, if he doesn't pull it straight up, he's going to break
his foot.
Yeah, because he'll snap it as he walks forward. So the dog must nip when he's told. So we have a whistle, just like his left and his right whistle, that tells him to nip. There's a and that'll tell the dog to nip once when he hears that. And he'll wait till he hears it again to nip it again.
Oh, this is fabulous. Well, we're going to be right back after a few words from our sponsors. John, can't wait to ask you some more questions about herding dogs. Back to you soon.
Has your pet ever suffered from digestive issues, anxiety, or joint pain? We want to address these issues and more with high-grade CBD oil from Alpha, made specifically for your furry friends. Using Alaskan salmon oil as a carrier, Alpha Pet's 500 CBD oil is lab-tested for quality, consistency, and safety. Plus, we are giving Pet Life Radio listeners 25% off and free shipping with code PL25 for a limited time. So visit myalphacbd.com/dogs now. That's myalphacbd.com/dogs. Because your furry friends are family.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Hey there, Chris Ontain, Canine Master, and I'm back here with John, and we are talking about herding dogs and his border collies. John, we were just talking about how you train them to do a little nip here and there with a certain whistle. Training these dogs seems like a major commitment. Can you tell me a little bit? We know border collies are smart, but do they just pick it up, or how does it all work, and when do you start training them?
Well, I suppose the first thing you do is you breed them properly. That's the first thing. If you have a good breed of dog, a clever breed of dog, it's like everything. If the dog is clever, it's easy to train him. It's like people, some people bright, some people maybe not quite so bright.
Sure.
It's the very same with the dog, if you breed the dog properly. Now, what we do is we breed them as good as we can. And then at about 3 to 4 months of age, we'll take him out to have a look at the sheep. Now, if the dog takes an interest in the sheep, we'll take him home at that stage and we'll make him sit down and walk on our heel. That's the very first job. Before we'll go train the dog or do anything, he's got to sit down and walk at your heel.
So basic obedience in the very
Basic obedience, because when you go out the hill, you see, we have 8 dogs, say, if you go off out the hill with your 8 dogs, you cannot have them running around the place. They must walk at your heel, and when you call any particular dog, say you saw me outside the sheep, I send one dog off to the right and one dog out the field to the left, so as they all come around the sheep and meet at the back and carry them up. If you have your 8 dogs, when you call one dog to go, he must go, the other 7 must stay. So that's the reason that you train your pup, the first thing, walk on your heel and stay there until he's told to move. Then you take him out to the sheep after that. And the first thing you teach him, sit down and look at the sheep. He's already sitting down, make sure he sits when he sees the sheep. Then you'll begin to teach the left and the right. Now, the way we do that is we go one at a time. We teach right first. We'll teach him by voice. We'll do the voice first before ever we'll introduce the whistle. We'll teach him the voice. Now, what we do with that is you stand on the spot there yourself, put the dog, or sit the dog the opposite side at the sheep. Now, say you'd have your sheep between your dog and yourself. Mm-hmm. Now, when you want your dog to go right, it's the dog's right, not you right.
That makes sense,
yes, right? It's always because when the dog turns around, he'll go the opposite way even though it's right. But it's the dog's right. So what you do with that to encourage him is you walk off to the left and the dog will tend to walk to his right before you.
I see.
Now, if that fails with a pup, what we do is we bring him home again and put a little barrel between ourselves and the dog and lean out over with the lead and walk the dog to his right.
And guide him.
And you'd walk the other way and you'd say, away to me. That's what you say. All shepherds will say the same thing. Away to me to go to the right. So you'd walk him like that. After a turn or two, he'll get the idea that when he sees you moving, he'll move. You'll bring him back out to the sheep again, do the same. But you do that every day, maybe for a week or that way. But the way you know the dog knows he's right is when you stand on the spot and the dog moves without you moving, then he has his right.
Wow, that's really interesting.
You do the very same for the left.
Same thing for the left.
For about a week again.
So when you introduced the new cue, which is the whistle. So we got the old cue, which is the voice, and now we're going to change it to the whistle. Do you put the old cue in front of the new, or you put the new cue in front of the old cue?
What you do, you just say the voice once. Say you sit the dog like I said before. Say away to me to the dog, and the minute he moves, bang on the whistle, whatever sound you're going to give him.
I see.
It doesn't matter to the dog what sound you give him, but you must give him the same sound every time. So you just say away to me once for his right.
And as he's moving, you hit the whistle.
Just hit the whistle and hit it all the time.
And now he's starting to understand that the whistle...
He will. About a week, he should nearly pick up the whistle. Just take him. Now, he'll pick up the whistle in about a week. He's left and he's right if you do it maybe 2 to 3 times a day. You only do a few minutes at any time because he'll tune out if you do it too long. But, you see, once he has that done, that's fine. He's walking away at his whistle. The problem then is to get him to work with another dog. That's where your trouble starts. Like it's not hard to teach one dog his left or his right or his own whistle. But now you're going to introduce him to the next dog, and he'll hear the sounds of the other dog's whistle.
But you're having different cues for each dog.
I am.
That's really important because you couldn't give one cue for 3 dogs. They'd all do the same thing, and then you'd have chaos.
No, you did right.
Right.
You did right.
That's right. So that's interesting. Yeah. One of the things I want to ask you, what's the motivation for these border collies? A lot of people in dog training, we're all talking about, treats and good boy, or we train through fear and intimidation. Tell me, what's the motivation for these dogs?
There are 2 things that make the dog work. The first thing is breeding. Breeding is everything. The dog, if he's properly bred, he wants to work. You could not make a dog work if he decided and sitting down on his tail on the floor and he didn't want to work. Well, he wouldn't work. All you do is you direct the dog. The minute he comes out of the van or the jeep and come on, he's away ready to go to work. You must just direct him or guide him. That's all you have to do. You haven't to do anything else once he's properly bred. The whole thing is to breed him. That's where you...
So it's the breeding.
It's the breeding, yeah.
Today, in today's world, we see a lot of people breeding border collies, and they're breeding them for the show ring and conformation. And these dogs, unfortunately, some of these natural instincts that we need in herding are actually not bred correctly. So this is dying in those breeds. So it's to farmers like you that breed the dogs, that breed the correct dog with the correct temperament, that creates dogs that can have this sort of appetite for this kind of sport.
Of course it is, and it's not alone even the correct dog, it's the correct dog for the correct territory. Because our dog they're so small, they're much smaller than any, I presume you've seen plenty of collie dogs,
we have.
And they'd be 1.5 the size of our dogs, maybe twice.
Yeah.
But those dogs wouldn't last a second day here.
Because of the terrain.
Yeah, the feet would be sore. The paws, the way the little paw at the back, that cut the paws coming down the hills. Our hills go up in steps of about 70, 80 feet. Steps, you'd have about 8 of them up the mountain, say up the hills. So on the way up, it's very severe on their nails and their toes. But on the way down, the back of the paw will get cut. When it's so steep, you see, if the dog is too heavy, he's pushing down against it, and he'll cut the back of the paw. So that's the reason for the small, hardy dogs.
So dogs on the burn may be different than dogs somewhere else in Ireland.
Oh, they surely are. They surely are, because they're smaller, and they're hardier. They have to be. They can't be
I see. And do we have dogs that are bigger for cattle and smaller for sheep, or does that even matter?
No, small is small here. He's got to be small and tough.
And he has to be able to move quickly.
He has. And he's got to be able to nip the heel, he's got to be able to nip the nose, and he's got to be able to look after himself. So when he nips the heel, like I told you, he'll nip the heel and he'll lay down on the spot, and he'll always nip the foot the animal has the weight on, because when he nips the one that's lifting, he's going to get kicked. But if he nips the one the weight is on, the animal will have to take one more step before it can kick him. The dog will be down low, that kick will go over its head. For the nose, he's got to come in from the side, especially if it's a bull, come in very quickly, jump, nip the nose and away the other side, or otherwise the bull will kill him. Put the head down and will kill him. So he's got to be quick and gone.
Have you ever lost a dog?
No. If you train him properly, he won't. We'll train him on the sheep, we'll move him onto the calves, then the small stock,
Yeah.
And we won't let him onto the cattle till his timing is good. We'll watch his timing, that he's able to get away from the kicks. He's quick in and out of the front.
And how long does that take, John?
It'll vary with the different dogs. But to train your dog to do that, you generally have them there maybe a year and a half or 2 years. But you see, there's a lot of training. That's grand in one dog. But if you want to train, say, 3 dogs to go a mile out the hill, out that far, you won't actually see the dog. You'll only see the flock. But you'll know by the bend of the flock where the dog is. That's where do you remember I showed you with the dog going head to head? That's what you train the dogs for. They go head to head, so they listen to their whistle. But to actually do that with 3 or 4 dogs could take you about 3 years, because you have all the variations in between.
Wow, that's
just
amazing.
To make them listen, and then they're out here side, so they've got to listen to the whistle 100%. And as you know, it's very hard to get 100% of anything.
It is.
Now, if you train 8 dogs, you'd be lucky to have 5 of them maybe to do that job. Look at late at night in the pub, they'd all be great and they'd go 2 miles for you.
Yeah.
For not as good in the morning.
So let me ask you, John, I know my audience is going to want me to ask this question. Where do your dogs sleep at night?
Well, not in the bed anyway, that's for sure.
Not in the bed?
No, they have a kennel. Each dog has his own kennel.
I see.
And they have their own food and water. They have a little place about a foot off the ground. They sit up and sleep. They're only fed at night. They're only fed once a day, because when they come out in the morning, you want to have the food digested and ready to run.
Right, so what we call gastral torsion or bloat.
Yes, that doesn't come into then. You feed them at night, they'll digest the food, and they'll have their own food and water, and away they go in the morning. And for the females, you need a kennel for every dog, because they tend to fight. Females, if 2 males fight, they kind of decide who the boss is. Females
once they start fighting, it's really tough, right?
It is tough, and they don't know when they're beaten either.
Oh no, they just keep on going. Yeah. We see that with all female dogs. It tends to be.
Yeah, that's the way it was. So we kennel for every dog.
Well, John, thank you so much. So, John, let us come back in a second. I want to have a few more words from our sponsors, and then I'm going to want to ask you how we find you here in Ireland, because I just saw the most amazing demonstration today. Back to you shortly at Canine Master on Pet Life Radio.
Begging to hear more of your favorite show? Full episodes of all our shows are available on demand. Go to PetLifeRadio.com to fetch our entire lineup of Possum Pet podcasts. Also, dig us up in iHeartRadio and iTunes. Let's talk pets. Live and on demand, only from Pet Life Radio.
Hey, it's Chris Antang, Canine Master, and I'm here with John, and we're in Bern with his herding dogs. John, you did an amazing demonstration today for me and for a whole group of us. Tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing here, and the name of it's Clare, right?
It's Clare Stonefort. That's what it is. Yeah, we do. Initially, I was a farmer, and I had 4 sons. Now, there's only one of them interested on the farming, so we had to do something else as well to have a place for everybody. Now, what we do is we had a stone fort on the farm. It was 1,000 years old, but there was no history with it. But we decided anyway about 15 years ago now that we'd open it to the tourism. But with the no history, we had to have an archaeological dig to try and get the history of the fort out of the ground, And we couldn't really afford to do something like that because it's very expensive.
To do an archaeological dig? To
do an archaeological dig. It would cost you, to do the fort, it would cost you it would be certainly hundreds of thousands anyway. Because a little square would cost you 25,000 quid, so the fort is quite big. But what we came up with the idea that we'd set up an archaeological field school, and we have students here, they're down there today, they're doing the excavation. Mostly US and Canadian students come to us. We're accredited by the University in Galway, so they'll get credits while they're here and take them back to their own university while they're doing the excavation, and they'll get field experience as well to do the excavation.
And that's a great way to pay for it.
That's a great way to pay for it. And it has the history for Ireland, it has free history, you know.
That's
because
wonderful.
They're digging up 1,000 years of history there back along. They have various finds got. They have arrowheads from iron, stone. They have all the metal gots. They have amber gotten, you know, that's silver, bronze, and gold all got. They have amber got. They have even a pig for tuning an Irish harp picked up on the fort there. So it meant we had music long before the pubs had it.
Oh my gosh.
So as well as that, then we do the farm, and we're here for, our family are here for 300 years. We milk dairy cows. We do beef cattle in Hereford beef. We suckle Charolais cows. And that kind of keeps us going.
And then you do the dog demonstration.
And we do the dog demonstration as well.
Well, I really, really enjoyed the dog demonstration today.
I'm delighted.
And you even had my youngest son out there barking commands at the dogs, trying to get him to obey to his voice.
He did really well, didn't he?
It didn't work very well, did it?
I know, he did very well.
Well, he did well.
You might have thought he didn't do it. He did really well. Look, we're here with I met this for I don't know many years, maybe since 2012 anyway. Very few people have ever managed to put the dog to the left or to the right. Only, I think, one person has done it more than 2 years ago. Very few put it to the left. Your son put him to the left today. Now, he went slowly, but he went.
Yeah, that was great.
That young fella did really well today.
Well, maybe I have a young trainer in my midst. Follow after his dad. Well, listen, John, thank you so much for your time today. And I had a great lunch at your cafe, and I appreciate that. And really enjoyed meeting you and meeting your dogs. Thanks a lot. That's Chris Onthank, Canine Master. And come on down to Clare Fort in the Burn on the west coast of Ireland. And I will tell you something, it is truly magnificent here. It's beautiful. And I really appreciate your time today, John.
Thank you very much, Chris.
All right, take care.
Have you.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.